You're reading a parenting book before bed, trying to learn the right words to help your anxious child. You've practiced calm responses. You know the scripts. Use your words. Take a deep breath. You're safe. But when your child melts down, when they're crying over something that seems small, you notice your own chest tightening, your jaw clenching, your voice getting that edge even as you're saying the calm words. And later, you wonder why your carefully chosen phrases didn't work. Why your child stayed dysregulated even though you said all the right things. Here's what nobody tells you. Your child wasn't listening to your words. They were reading your nervous system. And what they felt from you? The tension, the urgency, the barely controlled stress. That spoke louder than any script ever could. You might feel frustrated right now. You've been working so hard to say the right things, to model good coping, to teach emotional regulation. But here's the truth that changes everything. Our children don't learn calm from our lectures about being calm. They learn it from our actual nervous system state. They're not copying what we say, they're copying what we are. And if we're stressed, anxious, or dysregulated while telling them to be peaceful, we're sending mixed signals that confuse and escalate them further. If this is landing hard, you're not alone. And today, we're going to explore exactly how this nervous system transmission works and what to do about it, so you can finally become the calming presence you've been trying so hard to fake. If you've ever felt like your child absorbs your stress even when you're trying to hide it, don't scroll past this. Hit that like button and subscribe so we can keep reaching parents who need to understand what's really happening beneath the surface of their family dynamics. I see you. You're trying so hard. You've read the books, you know about coregulation and emotional intelligence. You practice your responses in the shower, but when the actual moment comes, when your child is having a hard time, you feel your own system ramping up. Your heart races, your thoughts spiral. You're worried about being late, about what this means, about whether you're handling it right. And even though your mouth is saying calm things, your body is screaming stress. Your child feels that disconnect. They sense your internal chaos. And instead of settling, they escalate because your nervous system just told theirs that something is actually very wrong here. But here's what I want you to know. You're not failing. You just haven't been taught how this really works. And once you understand nervous system transmission, once you learn to regulate yourself first instead of performing regulation, everything shifts. Here's my promise to you today. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly how your nervous system state affects your child's behavior. And you'll have 5 practical strategies to actually regulate yourself so your presence becomes genuinely calming instead of accidentally activating. You won't become perfect or zen overnight, but you will have tools to shift from performing calm to embodying it, and that's what your child's nervous system has been waiting for. Here's what we'll cover. We'll explore 5 strategies. Strategy 1, understanding nervous system transmission and why your child feels what you feel. Strategy 2, recognizing your own dysregulation before trying to calm your child. Strategy 3, actually regulating your nervous system, not just controlling your words. Strategy 4, creating a regulated baseline that your child can borrow from. Strategy 5, repairing when you transmit stress instead of shame spiraling about it. These aren't about becoming a different person or never feeling stressed. They're about understanding the biological reality of how regulation actually works between parent and child, and working with it instead of against it. Let's begin. Strategy 1, understanding nervous system transmission and why your child feels what you feel. Why does this matter? Because until you understand that your child is literally reading your physiological state, you'll keep focusing on the wrong things. You'll keep perfecting your words while your body broadcasts danger signals. Your child's nervous system is designed to sync with yours for survival. When they sense you're stressed, their system interprets that as evidence that the environment is unsafe, regardless of what you're saying. This is why all your calm speeches fall flat when you're internally freaking out. Scientific backing, research in interpersonal neurobiology shows that nervous systems communicate and influence each other, especially between parent and child. This process, called neuroception, happens below conscious awareness. Your child's nervous system scans your facial expressions, tone of voice, body tension, and breathing patterns, and automatically adjusts to match. Studies using physiological monitoring show that when a parent's heart rate and cortisol spike, their child's follows within seconds. Even if the parent is smiling and speaking softly. One researcher described it as biological Wi-Fi. Our nervous systems are constantly transmitting and receiving signals. Here's a real example. Sarah noticed her daughter had meltdowns every morning before school. Sarah was saying encouraging things and staying outwardly calm, but she was internally anxious about getting everyone out the door on time. She was worried about traffic, her own work deadlines, and whether her daughter would cooperate. One morning, Sarah took 10 minutes to actually calm her own system before waking her daughter, breathing exercises, releasing the time pressure internally. She said the exact same words as always, but her daughter got ready smoothly. The difference wasn't the script. It was Sarah's regulated nervous system giving her daughter's system the message. We're safe, there's no emergency here. How to understand this in your own life. Start noticing the connection between your internal state and your child's behavior. When you're stressed but trying to hide it, does your child seem more activated? When you're genuinely calm, even if the situation is chaotic, does your child settle faster? This isn't about blame. It's about recognizing a biological reality so you can work with it. Your quick win action in the next 60 seconds. Think about a recent moment when your child was dysregulated. Be honest. What was your internal state? Not what you said or did, but what you actually felt inside. Anxious? Frustrated? Overwhelmed? That's the signal your child received. Strategy 2. Recognizing your own dysregulation before trying to calm your child asterisk. This strategy is crucial because you cannot co-regulate with your child if you're dysregulated yourself. It's like trying to pull someone out of water while you're drowning. When you're activated, when your own nervous system is in fight, flight, or freeze, you don't have access to the calm, grounded presence your child needs. But most of us don't even realize we're dysregulated. We're so focused on fixing our child's behavior that we miss our own racing heart, tight shoulders, and shallow breathing. Proof from real life, parents who learn to check in with their own state before intervening report dramatically different outcomes. One dad said, I used to jump straight into trying to calm my son down during his outbursts. I'd get more and more frustrated when it didn't work. Now I pause for 10 seconds and notice. Am I calm? Usually I'm not. My chest is tight and I'm already annoyed. Once I see that, I can do something about my state first. Then when I approach him, he actually responds. How to do this? Create a habit of checking yourself first. Before you intervene with your child, do a quick body scan. Is your jaw clenched? Are your shoulders up by your ears? Is your breathing shallow? Are you feeling urgency or frustration? These are signs your nervous system is activated. This isn't about judging yourself, it's about gathering information. If you're dysregulated, you need to address that before you can help your child. Even acknowledging it creates a small shift. Your quick win: the next time your child is upset, pause before responding. Put one hand on your chest and take 3 seconds to notice. How does your body feel right now? Just notice. That's the beginning of self-awareness that changes everything. Strategy 3. Actually regulating your nervous system, not just controlling your words. Without actual regulation, you're just performing calmness while your biology tells a different story. Your child's nervous system isn't fooled by your calm voice if your body is tense and your energy is frantic. This is why you can say all the right things and still have your child escalate. They're responding to what they feel from you, not what they hear. True co-regulation requires you to actually shift your physiological state, to genuinely move from activated to settled. So your nervous system can send a real safety signal. Concrete evidence. Research on polyvagal theory explains that our nervous system has different states: sympathetic activation, which is fight or flight, and ventral vagal, which is calm and connected. When we're in sympathetic activation, our body sends cues of danger even if we're trying to appear calm. Our voice gets higher or tighter, our movements become quicker, our facial expressions show tension. Children pick up on these cues instantly. Only when we shift into genuine ventral vagal state, when we're actually physiologically calm, can we effectively co-regulate. Relatable example. One mom realized she'd been trying to talk her anxious son through bedtime while her own system was ramped up from a stressful day. She'd say soothing words, but he'd stay anxious. She started taking 5 minutes before bedtime to actually regulate herself. Slow breathing, shaking out her body, listening to a calming song. Then she'd go to him. Same routine, same words, but now he'd settle within minutes. Her regulated nervous system gave his nervous system permission to relax. How to implement: learn techniques that actually shift your physiology, not just your thoughts. Slow exhale breathing. Breathe in for 4, out for 6. This activates your parasympathetic nervous system. Physical release like shaking your hands or rolling your shoulders. Humming or singing, which stimulates the vagus nerve. Cold water on your wrists. These aren't just stress management tips, they're biological tools that change your nervous system state. Practice them when you notice you're activated before you try to help your child regulate. Quick win action: right now, try this. Breathe in through your nose for 4 counts, out through your mouth for 6 counts. Do this 3 times. Notice any shift in your body. That's regulation. That's what your child needs to feel from you. So tell me in the comments right now, have you noticed your child picking up on your stress even when you're trying to hide it? I read every comment. Let's talk about what this really looks like. Strategy 4. Creating a regulated baseline that your child can borrow from. This is powerful because co-regulation isn't just about calming your child in crisis moments. It's about creating a general baseline of regulation that your child's nervous system can sync with throughout the day. When you're chronically stressed, anxious, or overwhelmed, even in low-level ways, Your child's system stays activated too. They're constantly borrowing from your state. If your baseline is dysregulated, theirs will be too. But when you cultivate genuine regulation in your own system, when you're more often calm, grounded, and present, your child's nervous system gets to rest in that safety. Scientific insight. Studies on parent-child physiological synchrony show that children with regulated parents develop better self-regulation skills over time. It's not because those parents teach regulation better. It's because the child's nervous system gets repeated practice syncing with a calm system. Over time, they internalize that regulated state. One study found that a parent's resting heart rate variability, a measure of nervous system flexibility, predicted their child's ability to recover from stress. We're literally lending our children our regulation until they can build their own. How to build a regulated baseline. This isn't about being calm every second. It's about generally tending to your nervous system health. Regular practices that keep you more regulated more often. Daily movement that releases stress. Adequate sleep. Connection with supportive people, time in nature, moments of play or joy, addressing your own unresolved trauma or anxiety. These aren't selfish, they're foundational to your child's development. Your regulated nervous system is one of the greatest gifts you can give them. Also notice what dysregulates you and address it when possible. If mornings are chaotic and spike your stress, change the routine. If you're constantly overwhelmed by your schedule, something needs to shift. If you're carrying unprocessed emotions from your own childhood, that work matters. Your child can't borrow regulation from a system that's chronically depleted. Your quick win: identify one thing that consistently dysregulates you in your daily life with your child. This week, experiment with changing it. Maybe you wake up 15 minutes earlier to avoid the morning rush. Maybe you say no to one commitment. Notice if your baseline shifts even slightly, and watch how your child responds. Strategy 5: repairing when you transmit stress instead of shame spiraling about it. Without repair, the inevitable moments when you transmit dysregulation to your child become sources of shame and disconnection. Here's the reality: you're human. You will have moments when you're stressed, when your nervous system is activated, when you accidentally send your child danger signals instead of safety. This will happen. The question isn't whether you'll be perfectly regulated. It's what you do after you realize you weren't. Repair is how we teach our children that ruptures are normal and fixable. It's also how we release our own shame so it doesn't keep us stuck in dysregulation. Real life example: a dad snapped at his daughter when she was moving slowly in the morning. He was stressed about being late and his activation escalated her into tears. Later, he came back and said, "I'm sorry I was snappy this morning. I was feeling stressed about time and I didn't handle my feelings well. That wasn't about you. You didn't do anything wrong." His daughter relaxed immediately. The repair reconnected them and taught her that stress happens and relationships can handle it. How to implement: when you realize you were dysregulated and it affected your child, acknowledge it simply and age appropriately. You're not dumping your emotional process on them. You're naming what happened and taking responsibility. "I was feeling overwhelmed and I got snappy. I'm sorry." Or, "My body was feeling stressed earlier and I think you felt that. I'm working on calming myself down." This models accountability and shows them that adults have feelings and can manage them imperfectly and still repair. Also, repair with yourself. Notice the shame or self-judgment that comes up when you realize you transmitted stress. That shame keeps you dysregulated. Instead, offer yourself compassion. "I was doing my best in that moment. I'm learning. I can try differently next time." This self-repair helps you return to regulation faster, which helps your child too. Quick win action. Think of a recent moment when your stress affected your child. Find a quiet moment soon and offer a simple repair. Notice how it shifts the energy between you, and notice how it releases your own guilt. There's one sneaky trap that makes this nervous system dynamic even harder: the belief that you need to protect your child from ever sensing your stress. This trap makes you perform calmness while actually becoming more stressed about hiding your stress. It creates inauthenticity that children sense and find confusing. It also sets an impossible standard that guarantees failure and shame. The fix: you don't need to be perfectly calm all the time. You need to be authentic and regulated enough. Your child can handle knowing you have feelings. What they can't handle is sensing your dysregulation while you pretend everything is fine. That creates distrust in their own perception. Instead, you can say, "I'm feeling stressed right now and I'm working on calming my body down." That's honest and modeling. You're showing them that feelings happen and we can work with them. The goal isn't to never transmit stress. It's to transmit regulation more often than dysregulation, and to repair when ruptures happen. A powerful perspective shift. Your child doesn't need a perfect parent with a perfectly calm nervous system. They need a parent who is aware, who works on their own regulation, who repairs, and who is genuine. That's what builds secure attachment and healthy nervous system development. Let's recap the 5 strategies. First, understanding nervous system transmission and why your child feels what you feel. Second, recognizing your own dysregulation before trying to calm your child. Third, actually regulating your nervous system, not just controlling your words. Fourth, creating a regulated baseline that your child can borrow from. And fifth, repairing when you transmit stress instead of shame spiraling about it. Now picture this 3 months from now. Your child is upset about something. You feel the familiar pull to jump in with the right words, the perfect response. But you pause. You notice your own chest tightening, your breath getting shallow. Instead of pushing through, you take 30 seconds. You breathe slowly. You soften your jaw. You feel your feet on the ground. You let your nervous system shift from activated to settled. Then you approach your child. You don't say anything particularly profound. Maybe just, I'm here. But your child feels your calm. They feel the safety in your presence. Their crying slows. Their body softens. They move closer to you. Within minutes, they're regulated. Not because you said the magic words, but because your nervous system told theirs. You're safe. I've got you. There's no emergency here. You didn't perform calm. You were calm. And that made all the difference. That version of parenting is possible, and it starts with these strategies. You've been working so hard to say and do the right things, but what your child has needed all along isn't perfect words, it's your regulated presence. The truth is, you can mess up the scripts and still raise a secure child if your nervous system is generally regulated and you repair when it's not. This isn't about adding more to your plate, it's about shifting where you focus your energy. From external performance to internal state. Your child is watching you, yes? But not in the way you thought. They're not grading your parenting techniques. They're reading your nervous system and learning what safety feels like. When you tend to your own regulation, you're not being selfish. You're doing some of the most important parenting work there is. Thank you for being here today and for being willing to look beneath the surface of what parenting really requires. If this resonated, please share it with another parent who's been trying so hard to say the right things while feeling like nothing works. And if you haven't subscribed yet, do that now so we can keep exploring the deeper truths about raising children that go beyond tips and scripts. When you're ready, my next video is waiting. It's about breaking cycles you didn't even know you were repeating. Take care of yourself. You matter, and so does your nervous system.